One song, glory, one song before I go, glory, one song to leave behind.
I can see how it related to Jonathan's life. I think it's very much the plight of every artist to just, you know, just that one break, that one thing that someone is going to look in your life and say, if he did nothing else, he did this.
Rent is about a community of artists in the East Village who are basically struggling to realize their dreams. When these people feel that the artistry should be closer to the God than the dollar and are willing to sacrifice the dollar to pursue their dream.
We're hungry and frozen, the life that we've chosen. How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay? How we gonna pay last year's rent?
I've been an artist all my life, and I've dedicated my life to that. That's what I do, so I know what it's like to be broke.
I would die if I couldn't make art.
I love artistic personalities. I love creative people. And just to be around that energy is what keeps me going every day.
Hey, what a way to spend the day. Hey, what a way to spend the day. I make a vow.
Jonathan worked on Rent over the course of a number of years, and I probably went through every emotion one can feel in terms of being excited about the work and frustrated that it wasn't happening fast enough, and excitement when he found New York Theater Workshop and was thrilled. He felt he'd really found a home for Rent.
Seeing the workshop for the first time in '94, when Jeffrey, said, let's go see it, was a very exhilarating day to meet Jonathan Larson and meet someone so passionate. We were mesmerized. There was certainly that moment right after the first act came down that Kevin turned to me and said, I'm taking out my checkbook, let's do this. And he laughed at me and said, Kevin, you're nuts. And then we brought our other business associate, Alan Gordon, the next night, who had an equal enthusiasm for the show.
What was fascinating is it was a human drama. It was a life-affirming message, and it wasn't judgmental.
Find one song, a song of our love, glory, the soul of a young man, a young man.
Jonathan Larson was, as far as I'm concerned, a genius. I mean, he really knew what he was talking about. And obviously because he lived it. And you can tell he lived in it because there's a passion in the material about it.
Jonathan Larson, the voice behind Rent, lived his life believing there is no day but today. This philosophy is inspirational, but also chilling. Jonathan suffered an aortic aneurysm and died the night before Rent's first off-Broadway preview. Jonathan gave the world Rent, that left his friends and family with wonderful memories.
Jonathan Larson's parents and his friends came down and they gave us this big peasant feast. They took us to this restaurant.
And in having his friends tell us about him and who he was to them and what he meant to their lives.
And seeing how much he's touched them. And you really want to feel like that when I leave this world, that I've left it, not necessarily the world a better place, but I've touched the lives around me in a positive way, that they may be just a little better off.
He was a very expansive baby, and kind of gurgled and sang. We sang to him and he sang back to us. And he always liked to put on a show.
There's a very famous production of The Wizard of Oz. He was the Tin Man, and I was Dorothy. He must have been 3 when we did that.
When I was 4, Michael and I entered a talent show down at the Y.
He was a terrific actor. He had a full tuition 4-year scholarship to college as an actor. So it wasn't just our opinion. He was a very good actor.
John's bohemian thing was really true. There was a bathtub in his kitchen, and Sondheim, he'd become his mentor in college. And Sondheim said to him one day, there's a lot more hungry actors than there are hungry composers.
Jonathan's great gift, I think, his greatest gift was as a composer. His tunes are unmatched, I think, in their ability to get into your guts.
We emerged from the YMCA. 3 o'clock sun had made the grass. Hey, I thought, hey, what a way to spend the day. Hey, what a way to spend the day.
He wanted the success, and he wanted to compose full-time and write 100 musicals and spend his whole life doing that. And since he, but the one thing I've been really grateful for is that he was able to quit his 9-year waiting stint at the Moondance Diner.
The diner gave him a party. And his friends were there, patrons who he had been serving for a fair number of years were there. It was great.
This is my last day. You've been here forever and ever, so I wanted to say goodbye. I'm a musician. My opera is going to be produced, so I'm going out of food service. Did I say Mazel Tov?
He was one of the few people that I've ever met that I think really stayed true to himself and really was able to step back sometimes and appreciate all the little things.
No day but today.
The day that he died, it was such a terrible shock, but what became very clear very quickly was that we had to continue the work. It was a way of mourning him, and a way of celebrating him, and a way of loving him, and sharing him.
There was just this incredible pain that he could not see what he created. It was unfathomable to us at the time that Jonathan died.
Rent was certainly the climax of what was unfortunately supposed to be the first chapter, or the first section of his very rich and creative and prolific artistic life as a writer.
That she learned, or in times that he cried, in bridges he burned, for the way that she died.
He was very unique. He was an incredible son, a wonderful brother and uncle to my children, and he had amazing friends, and I think he was an amazing friend to people.
I think that's what his family and I and his other friends, what we try to hang on to is, it's about Jonathan Larson, and then it's about Rent.
Without you.